Hey, good morning, everybody. So this morning we are going to be working on putting together our DNC Extreme Scout roll cage. I'm not sure how far we'll get today. On these roll cages, the main hoop is two-piece. It's for shipping. It saves a bunch of money apparently for shipping. And they put it together with a sleeve. This is the sleeve that came with it. I'm sure it's more than adequate. They have holes that'll get welded on the seam of both pieces and then through some plug holes. But my plan is I just happen to have some of this material kicking around. So I'm gonna put probably a 1.5 piece in there. Again, probably doesn't need it, but it's gonna extend that sleeve a little better. In case of a rollover, it's just that much more of an opportunity, I think, to not have a failure at that point. So that's the plan. We're gonna get that cleaned all up, and we'll come back here when I'm ready to tack all that together. So I cut out the sleeve, went ahead with an 18-inch piece, just took a guess. I'm not sure where my CB bars are gonna come up to the front tube yet, so I figured I would at least make sure I was wide enough that when they hit the inside here, it's just a little more structure. It'll be a great heat sink when I weld it up. Cleaned up the pipe, and I'm gonna clean all the joints. I use a Harbor Freight surface conditioner, and so far I don't have a lot of complaints about that tool. It works really good. I don't know what kind of finish, what's going on this roll cage yet, whether it be paint or powder coat, so it may get sandblasted, but at least the joints 3 inches up, I'm gonna have them all buffed and cleaned. It'll just be a lot cleaner for prep afterwards. But we'll get this thing dummied up together and tacked up. We'll show you what it looks like. So I got it clamped together. The angle iron should be keeping the top flat. Honestly, don't care what the spread's like on the bottom. That can come along later a little bit. More concerned with the legs being, not parallel, I guess, with one another. In a perfect world, this would all go on a jig table. We're working in a garage, so I'll probably tack it, pull it out of the clamps, lay it on the floor. Again, the floor's not perfect, but if I flip it opposite directions and it stays flat, quote unquote flat, I'll be happy with it. So, all right, guys, I got it welded up. I'm gonna try something I've never tried before. I'm really funny when I'm sanding to be really careful, at least on flat steel, to try to stay out of the factory surface. I do want to grind this weld down to where you can't see that it's there, or very minimal, but I don't want to create divots in the primary material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape on there, and yes, it's going to get sanded off, but it's going to be more of an indicator for me of where I'm sanding. And I'll start here in my high spots, and hey, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll let you know that. If it works, we'll call it a new trick. Okay, guys, I got about an hour into this. Sanded the welds off smooth. I learned a long time ago that if you're not welding every single day and you can't consistently put down those pretty beads, you better learn to sand. Honestly, I'm confident in the strength of my welds. I'm funny when I know they should look better. So I don't have a problem sanding them off. I just also don't like nasty sand marks everywhere. So this is probably as close as I can get to sand perfect. And again, we're going to have some tubes coming off of here, CB tubes. Before I welded that up, I went ahead and center punched on either side 6 inches out so that I didn't have to try to figure out where center was off of this bent hoop. So I have center punch marks on the back side 6 inches out. I don't know if they mean anything, but they're a reference point of 6 inches from center on both sides. All right, we're in an impasse. I have my main hoop dummied in place. And I have it moved as far forward as I can because of the handrails without actually cutting and modifying that. I also want head clearance here, so I debated cutting these out, but I don't think I want to mess with that structure. So with that setting approximately where it's supposed to be, and I can't really tell, came with no instructions, and I get it's a do-it-yourself kit. I would assume that this width would be the same as the spreader bar above the windshield, but by doing that, things just aren't laying out right. It came with a 45.5-inch tube. But with this in place, as you can see, I got a lot of room between the windshield, and I get originally that it's designed for having the factory dash, and my plan is not to run the factory dash at this point. I'm going to build a dash off of this, so I want to get this pushed into here. So I don't know, guys. Oops, do I splice? There's C-notches on the pipe are just atrocious. The fit is, it doesn't fit. It tries to roll. They're not even close. I'm debating whether I cut the end of that flush and splice on 4 inches of tube. I'll sleeve it just like the main hoop. Less than ideal, but I don't know. I gotta give it some thought. Okay, I made a decision. This is, DNC calls them a spreader bar, but this is the A pillar. This goes between the A pillar and the B pillar. So I don't know if that's correct or not, but that's what they're calling it. And I don't like where it puts it. So I'm going to cut this notch off. It's not done right anyways. It's clocked in properly. And I'm going to extend them 4 inches. I got about, I don't know what I got here. I sleeved that about 9.5 inches because it's sleeved all the way to the end of the C-notch. So less than ideal probably, but no worse than splicing the main hoop. So then again, it'll get all welded up good, and it's under compression if it were ever put in a load. So I'm not too worried about it. So I'm finding it a little difficult, again, not ever doing this before, determining what's true. So I went ahead and spaced it 1 inch off of the toe kick here, 1 inch off of the windshield frame on both sides. Same over there. This is after it's been spliced. That side over there still has its splicing to be welded up. We'll probably have to shorten those rear kicker legs, which they didn't fit anyways properly. So wasn't very happy at first, but now that I've got the second tube in and the splices in, I'm feeling a lot better about it. So like I said, I will build the dash off of here. I'll have to put in my wiper, one-piece wiper motor, and then my heater before I start building that out. But we'll just keep tacking stuff together here. So I figured I better show you this. With installing the roll cage, not having a real good point of reference, I mean, I could have came in here and just completely threw this thing in, welded it together, and called it good, and not worried about anything being true. But I like things as true as I can, even though we know the Scout body's not true. Just some real nice symmetry is what I'm looking for. So I took my digital angle finder and set it on my inner fender and zeroed it, and then we're at 88.5 degrees. We'll just 89, 89.5, yeah, 89.75. So that should be 90 degrees to the fenders. That's about the best I can ask for, I think. There's nothing else on this that's even remotely true, so yeah, that's how we're doing it. Well, I got the 4-point cage tacked in. I think I'm gonna sit here and maybe look at it this week. We got the back corners just sitting there, but I think I'm gonna have to shorten them up fore and aft so I can lift the roll cage out at some point. I think I need to be able to move the roll cage back a couple inches and lift it up, and right now it's right in the corner. But yeah, I'm gonna spend a little more time looking at it before I start stitching it up. Okay, well, I spent about 6 hours yesterday. I built new CB bars, the ones I purchased from DNC, because of how I modified the A pillar. We're going to be too short, so I've pushed that the A pillar forward like 4 inches. So I bought some tube butt new ones. But as you can see, working by myself, ratchet straps and come-alongs. I don't have a tubing notcher, so it's all hand notched. Yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but I just generally don't work with tubes, so I'm not sure I want to spend the $100 on a tube notcher, so I've been hand notching. Takes a lot longer, but a little bit of patience, it works just fine. So we're going to try to get those all centered up. I'm using a 2x6 as a spacer, just so it's equal, and we'll get this tacked in place and probably get some of the ratchet straps pulled off of here. So I figured I would share this little tip. Again, I don't do tube work, so I was really concerned about this front bar being parallel with the B pillar hoop. And again, getting a tape measure between here and here is a little bit of a challenge. So what I did is I took a piece of 1-inch PVC pipe and I cut it to the same length as the inside of my CB tube length. So what I can do is I can bring it clear out here, and you see I got about 1/8 of an inch, just under 1/8 of an inch gap there. If I take it over to the other side and check it, then I know my front pillar, or my front windshield tube, is parallel with the B pillar hoop. So I was using a tape measure, and it's really hard to get up in there and measure that. So just something I use as a trick. So I figured I'd show you how I create a notching pattern, and there's a bunch of guys on the internet with different ideas, but I have a known good notch. Came with my kit. The tube ended up being too short, so I just took a cardboard box, wrapped it around it, drew a line, and then laid it out and cut it. There's also, you get lucky sometimes, a cardboard tube. You can do this. I'll get that cut out and then show you what it looks like on a piece of just uncut pipe. So there's our cardboard tube, just slid down over a piece of pipe. Draw it in, slide it back off. There's our line, we're cutting our notch. I'll draw a straight line if I'm trying to do parallel down the side of the piece of angle iron, and then you could just orient it with a line on the side. Pretty basic. Even a hillbilly like myself can do it.